So Bibi Netanyahu had Dr. Phil come out to Israel to do an interview with him, and I don't know what reality we're living in where that actually happened, but here we are. I'm assuming that Bibi was desperate to get some support back after Biden's announcement that if he goes into Rafah, we will stop sending him munitions, and probably saw Dr. Phil as still relevant in American culture. So I thought that we could look through a few of these clips that are the most important, starting with his response to Biden's red line.
These leaders that you're talking to that behind the scenes agree, but do they agree that Hamas has to be stopped now and completely 100% eradicated?
Some of them do, yes.
Some don't?
Well, some of them openly say that when they talk to, they don't openly say that in the public sphere, but they openly say it to us. They say, if you don't destroy Hamas, that means that the Iranian Axis will have a victory and we're next. And in many ways, all our free societies are next.
This is just a spin on the Red Scare, where America wants you to hate communists and communist countries because if a single one gets a win or starts doing too good, they're all going to join together and come for every non-communist country. Now, just for Palestinian nationalists or something like that, really it's just Islamophobia. That's what it boils down to. We have to go into Rafah and kill more civilians because if we don't, Islamic nations will team up and they'll come in for you next. Like, it's the age-old trope that Muslims are all terrorists, and it doesn't hit the same when it's being said by someone who's killed over 35,000 Palestinians, most of which are women and children, and now wants to continue to kill more by going into the last remaining safe zone. The real follow-up question that Dr. Phil should have asked if he wasn't playing the good little Zionist reporter is, does anyone actually think this is possible? Does anyone actually think you can eradicate Hamas? Because not one credible military expert has said that it would be possible to do so, especially not without wiping out the Palestinian race or ethnicity. And it's also convenient that all his support that he's getting from these different nations is private only. I wonder why.
The vast majority of Americans stand behind you. They stand behind Israel. They stand behind eliminating Hamas. And they recognize that what's being peddled in the press is not the reality. Most of the people understand that, but they don't control the press that's being put out there, which is why I wanted to do this interview.
Dr. Phil wanted to do this interview to unconditionally coddle Netanyahu's balls and not ask a single critical question. Pandering about American support for Netanyahu, a lot of it stems from anti-Semitism. The same Republicans who staunchly stand with Israel are some of the biggest anti-Semites, namely Trump. And having Israel is good for them because that means Jewish people have a place to go that isn't America. But Netanyahu is bleeding support in his own countries. Families of the Israeli hostages have joined protests calling for his ouster, claiming that his actions are only putting their hostages in further dangers, which they are. And polls have shown that he holds as little as 15% support in his country, giving him even more motivation to continue this war so he can't hold elections and be voted out and to try and bring home a win that maybe helps his chances, even though it's largely unpopular among his own people. And that's where the veil really breaks about Israel being a democracy. I think the portrayal of we have to call Israel a democracy and say they're a democratic nation is more to whitewash it into something that the rich white countries do, while all the brown savages have this ancient desire to just do terrorism. When in Israel, they have the entire Gaza Strip oppressed, living as less than citizens and unable to vote. I wouldn't say that's very democratic. I would say that's about equal to Iran, who is also democratic, by the way, in the same vein, but you have never heard them portrayed that way because their government is repressive in the same ways that Israel's is, but there's a reason you only hear democracy used to define one of these countries, and it's the one that has been Americanized and whitewashed. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.